Now, that was a full day's work. Surroundings might seem unclear to you as you're watching the video. I'm leaving the airport, so we had a young lady come up and help us out for a little while for 2 weeks from the Maritimes. She's only 19 years old. Her name's Haley Cameron, and she was going home, so she's going to stay on board with the stable. She's going to come back up on Boxing Day, but it's Christmas time. She wants to go home to her family. Didn't have a ride to the airport, so we give her a ride to the airport, dropped her off at the airport, and then I knew that Steve Palermo worked around here. A number of our clients work in the Toronto area. I rang him and I said, hey, I'm in the area if you want to go to lunch. Ended up going to lunch. Jack Astor's had some pasta, and it was pretty good. Lunch. Brought Amy home a little takeout for my wife. But I'll tell you what, it feels like a longer day. When I get up this morning, I told you guys we had a number of horses that need to school or train hard this week. Duke Dio and Swans Honey missed their races on Saturday. They were canceled. So I kind of wanted to school them, but you only have so many schoolers. Plus, it's going to be a muddy day. It's going to be a kind of a yucky day. So what needs to happen? So Duke Dio and Swans Honey will be in to go Saturday. We could have schooled them today, but we ran out of people and trailers and things to go over. So it turned into a triage situation. Who has to go to the track? I wanted Globetrotting to go to the track, who's racing on Friday. Need to keep a very close eye on her. And I wanted to school LD's Patrick myself. Now, we could have brought the other two over, but Jason said, Anthony, why don't we just take Swans Honey and Duke D over, train them in 2.6 or 2.7 on Wednesday? All right, I'm amenable to that. That's fine. So that's the plan. We're going to train those two on Wednesday, back on Saturday. A little tight, but considering the low amount of work both of them have done the last almost 2 weeks, I'm okay with that. So we did take Globetrotting and LD's Patrick over. Now I get to the barn, the track's starting to get a little muddy. I didn't even go with a horse this morning before the schoolers. By the time I got to the training center, because, got to drop the kids off, got to make sure they get to school. Addie Bear's got to get to daycare. Got to get Starbucks. By the time I got the Starbucks in and got to the barn, it was 8:45. Now, I wanted to make the shoeing changes that I wanted on LD's Patrick. All right? And kind of the way I look at it is this. I've driven enough horses, seen enough horses race. You can see the way a horse moves and look at the horse themselves in person and see. Like a horse like LD's Patrick, Ben Bergeron is a world-class trainer. So, is there something he could miss? Is there something the horse would miss? It's unlikely. It's possible. So I try to strip it all away. Pretend it's not Ben Bergeron. I just want to look at the horse on the track, see what I see, and then make the changes I want to make. They may work or they may not. And the best way to know if they will work, school them. Race speed. So I made the shoeing changes I wanted to make on LD's Patrick. Warmed him up at the farm. I thought he felt good. And the information that I got afterwards from James and Sylvain, who had driven him, were the quirks that he does, right? Throws his head a lot. He can be ignorant. He runs in a little bit. So those are things that I take in and I want to work on, all right? How do we keep him from throwing his head? Well, first off, why is he throwing his head? Is he just ignorant? Is it turned into a habit? 9 times out of 10, that's exactly what it is. So I hung him up the way I wanted to hang him up. I was training and driving him. And I took him over. Schooled fantastic. Put him right on the gate now. Take all the schooling stuff with a grain of salt. Some horses are smart enough to understand the difference between a school and a race. They know if they show up early in the morning, some of them already got it figured out. They know that it's Globetrotting knows. She doesn't take any schoolers or qualifiers super serious in the morning anymore. And it was muddy. At this point, it's starting to get muddy. Now, what I was told by Ben, Sarah, and James, and Sylvain, a combination of, I took as much in as I could. He can be ignorant, he throws his head, he runs in, and he'll make breaks. So I gave him the benefit of the doubt, changed the shoes as if maybe he was interfering a bit, and what that would look like. Put him right on the gate, never put a step in. Took him off the gate, which they said he was hot at the gate. Took him off the gate, no problems. Sat third. They said you can't run up on top of somebody. Not only did I run up on top of someone, I ran into the back of James. I I just let him trot right up on top of James in the first turn. Never made a break, never put a step in, never threw his head. I moved him first over getting into the last turn. Got to watch him in the last turn. He can get running in and make a break. I let him rock through the last turn. Took over the lead coming out of the turn. Globe-trotting, slid out onto my back, and trotted past me to win. Pretty good last half in the mud. Pretty good last quarter in the mud. I was happy with Eldie's Patrick, and I was happy with Globe-trotting. So the morning started off good. Go back to the burn. We only had one horse with a temperature that even remotely looked sick today, and that was Mo Power Baby. So immediately we just started her on Jennison and gave her some bute. I'm sure she'll be fine in the coming days. I really did want to get that Wednesday, Saturday workout into her, but it doesn't look like it's going to happen. So she's probably going to miss Wednesday, but she'll be back for Saturday, hopefully. So, good day in that regard at the burn. No concerns, no problems. And the horses trained well today. Dropped Haley off at the airport. Now rewind to last night. Obviously, I was busy at the London Drivers Championship. Pretty decent showing. Ended up fourth, beat 1 point for third. But James winning, it just bothers me. Just 2 races to go, and I was beating him. And then, of course, he come back on and beat me, which wasn't, I guess, that shocking. I don't think anybody in Vegas lost a fortune on that. But after that, during that, I got to watch Yes race. Flat. He was flat. They scoped him this morning. There's a little bit of mucus and a few flecks of blood. So I have to ask myself, is he bleeding? If he is, does he need time, or do we have to change up something? Do we need to add anything to his diet or to his medication that he may need to get? I don't know. I can't answer any of those questions. So I just left it alone. Had a good conversation with the veterinarian about it today. We're going to draw his blood tomorrow and see if anything is lacking. What that happened? See if anything is lacking, but for now it just looks like maybe stretched out a bit. And Jason and I had talked about it today, and I said, he wears egg bars behind, or bar shoes behind, and he wears razor pads up front. I said, those razor pads may be a deterrent, maybe a little detrimental right now. It might be a week to take those off. Now, for those of you that somehow believe that the reason Tour de Lindy made a break or Yes didn't race good is because I or Jason was not there, rest assured we'll both be there next Sunday. I will drive Tour de Lindy, I will drive Yes, and I will drive Stonebridge Simba next Sunday evening. I believe that's when they all go at Northfield Park. Now, Tour de Lindy was a different situation. We put the same equipment on him that he had on when he won. Now, Ronnie Wren was the one that pointed it out. I asked him, I said, geez, I thought those hobbles looked aggressively tight. But those are the ones he won in the week before. Now, the difference is the hobbles that we at the stable use on almost all our horses, and by almost I mean all our horses, are the ones that have the strap that go back to the bike. There are other kinds of hobbles, and one of them is a kind of hobble that fashions to the girth. There's no attachment to the hobbles to the bike. I don't like them at all. I never have liked them, but I didn't want to change anything because he won in those hobbles. But it wasn't until I spoke to Ronnie. He said, listen, because I said, geez, those hobbles look tight and it didn't look super comfortable. He said, 2 takeaways from this. One, he said, when I got stuffed in the hole 27 by that horse and then he backed up in front of me, I guess I could have shut his air off. It's possible. Secondly, that's the first time he's ever been really stretched out. He said, when I won with him week before, it was 28-1, 58-4. I never really gave him his head, and he won quite handily. There was never any issue where he was stressed out. Where last night we left hard, we get stuffed in the 2-hole, the horse backed up in front of us, I got him out, had to use him hard down the backstretch, and then he rolled off stride. Mechanically, what I saw was a horse that had hobbles on way too tight. But I went back and looked at the video from the 91, they were the exact same tightness. They don't need to be that tight, not on that horse, not from what I can see. Now, had I been there to drive him, would I have taken those hobbles off and completely changed them? Maybe. I don't know. I don't know that I could have, knowing that he was coming in to the claiming final off of a race where he didn't, he wore the hobbles that he had on last night. So I don't know if even I would have changed them. But I can tell you after looking at his race last night, that's what it looked like to me. Now, did he get his air maybe shut off for a second? Possibly. That's a Ronnie question. He said it could have happened, not possibly, but he run. It's the way it is. It happens. It's not the end of the world. It's not like he was racing for 200,000. He's racing for virtually twice as much as he's going to race for every week. Maybe a little bit less than that. Or more than that. less than that. I don't know. We got a good horse. He's sound. He's fine after the race, and he didn't bleed. No blood, no mucus, no nothing in his airway for a horse that was a suspect of being a pretty heavy bleeder. So he didn't bleed at all. And it's not that he didn't bleed because he made the break. I mean, the horse was stretched out, and then made a break down the backstretch. For all intents and purposes, it was a race-type situation. It's fair to think that he wouldn't have bled had he not run. So we'll go with him next week. We will put the other hobbles on him. We will make a few little changes that I thought we could have made. But again, when you have a horse that's won 2 races in a row going into a final, it's pretty hard to make changes, guys. It's just, I'm not going to beat myself up over this too much, because any way it shakes down, it would have been extremely hard for me to make significant equipment and shoeing changes to this horse coming off 2 victories. It just would have been very difficult to do. But now that I saw him in the final and saw what happened, it will be very easy to do. And it will take place next week, and I will drive the horse at Northfield Park. And I suspect he will turn into a version of the horse that we claimed. A nice 25 claimer. I guess the most important thing is keep an eye on that airway. If we treat him up and treat him differently and race him next week and there's still a few flecks, probably time to give him a little bit of a rest. The good news is we're putting him away. We'd be putting him away sound, sharp, and healthy. This touch of blood here and there, it's not the end of the world. It's not the end of the world, and I'm sure it wouldn't surprise me if he went out and jogged next week in 54, but he could go out and get beat, so we'll see. So that's the takeaway from last night. Tonight, obviously, we got White Tiger and our boy Locatelli. I'm super pumped about that. Can't wait to see them race. Can't wait to see how things shake down. It actually is a beautiful day. Surprisingly, it is plus 13 degrees. 13 degrees. It's 26 at 32. That's almost 60. It's crazy. A beautiful day here. The horses went good at the barn today. The schooling was good. Eldie's Patrick, I was very happy. The way I put it was simply to one of our clients that asked about him earlier this morning was, we sold a very similar horse for a lot more money the other day that I don't think is as good. Northern Blizzard, I think, is okay, but I don't think he's even remotely as good as the horse that I schooled today, at least right now. Check in 6 months, who knows. But very happy with the way Eldie's Patrick schooled this morning. He'll be in to go in the non-winners of 2 next Monday. May want to keep your eye on him. Take care.